Okay, I'm good to go. Ramesh Swamy sir is here.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good evening. Very
Good
fine.
evening. Ramesh, quick introduction. Vijay is from VigyanShaala. And Vijay, Ramesh sir is from Unnati. And they have been an extreme, very inspiring venture that looked at skill and pursued that to a very, very, very logical end. So very happy to have Ramesh sir also join us today.
Thanks, sir. So we'll start now. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining in. I will quickly start with giving a brief about what NSRCEL is, what we do here. So I'll just quickly take you through a few slides. So what NSRCEL is? So NSRCEL is one of the leading and largest incubators in the country, housed in Indian Institute of Management Bangalore campus. We were established in 1999 when Mr. N.S. Raghavan, who is one of the co-founders of Infosys, was kind enough to fund us. Back in those times, no one actually knew what entrepreneurship is or what startup is, as in the current context. But after the success of Infosys, he wanted to bring that into the ecosystem. And no other better place than IIM Bangalore. We've been around 25 years. We were very Bangalore-centric incubator till pandemic. But like many of your businesses and ventures, we also moved into hybrid way of delivering programs. That led us to scale and become the largest incubator. We now have ventures all across the country. We cover remote geographies. For example, we cover Northeast, we cover Ladakh, we cover Jammu Kashmir, to name a few. If I have to take names, we have incubatees such as Savramantala in Meghalaya, Connect, who is from Manipur. Then ventures in Kashmir such as Elicit. We've been working all around the country. Yeah. Just a second. Yeah. So what actually we do at NSRCEL? What do we do in direct incubation? So we work with multiple sectors. Our work is mainly divided into four main categories. If you look at the right side, Impact Orbit is the program that I am representing. We work with social sector ventures, which are both for-profit and non-profit model. Then we have student entrepreneurship, where we work with, which is campus founders. We work with recent graduates and college students who have idea. We help them nurture that idea and grow it into a business. We then have women entrepreneurship, where we are working with Kotak Mahindra for early stage ventures, and for scaled up stage, we partner with Goldman Sachs. Then we have emerging sectors, where we focus on deep tech, climate, sustainability, mobility, mass mobility, EV infrastructure, etc. But this will keep on changing as the sector evolves. These are actually contextual verticals, which means that we work with mostly early stage ventures, that is initial revenue or pilot. Then we have two other verticals. One is Launchpad, which work with idea stage incubation, and Velocity, which is on the other end of the spectrum. Now I'll quickly give you a brief about what Impact Orbit program is. So Impact Orbit program actually started since 2017. We have run 14 cohorts, almost incubated 190 ventures. We have partnered with many organizations such as Michael and Susan Dell Foundation, Emphasis Foundation, Ford Foundation, Pernod Ricard, Acumen, Unis Social Business. Capgemini is the one we are partnering right now, and the program that I'm representing. If you want to go through our impact report, you can scan this QR code. And more details, I'll be sharing our landing page in the chat box shortly. So, what is Impact Orbit Tech Program? So in this program, we are working with impact first social sector ventures who have tech-enabled solutions working in the grassroots level or at the bottom of the pyramid. Who is this incubation actually for? So ventures who are impact first, digitally enabled, who are in their early stage to growth stage. We are sector agnostic. What do you mean by sector agnostic is that we work with all sectors, but predominantly we've been working a lot in the sectors of education, livelihood, agri and allied, climate and water, fintech, assistive tech. Then we are business model agnostic. That means we work with both for-profit and non-profit ventures. What can you expect from this incubation? We actually give grants up to 15 lakhs to select ventures. We help you in crafting value proposition and business modeling. We help you in identifying alternate source of funding. We'll make you ready for fundraising, impact metrics, and pitch also. You get access to networking and access to the impact and IAMB ecosystem. If you look here, you will see our alums such as Miti Cafe, Agro Rangers, Ekotwam, VigyanShaala. Vijay is in the panel as we speak right now. We are having our fifth and sixth cohort going right now. Our applications for the new cohort is open, which will be closing in the next 10 days. So whoever feels that they are eligible to apply to us, I'll be putting up the link in the chat box itself. If anyone wants to scan the QR code for the applications, you can do it right now. So I would like to again welcome everyone to the webinar, Scaling Social Impact Startups, Tapping into Government and Corporate Networks. I would like to introduce the panelists, but moderated by Professor Sridhar Pabbisetty. He is a mentor in residence at NSRCEL. He is also a public policy and urban governance specialist. He is also one of the founding directors of Kautilya School of Public Policy. Over to you, Sridhar sir. You can take over and introduce the other panelists.
Thank you so much, Ramesh, for introducing the program and also welcoming me to the panel. It is indeed a pleasure for me to get two pioneers in creating impact in India to be on the panel with me today. And they'll help us think through the strategic networks of government as well as the corporates of how social impact ventures can look at scaling from pilots all the way to national level impact. So I would like to first begin by welcoming Mr. Ramesh Swamy, who is director at Unnati. Ramesh sir, if you could come in and briefly introduce the origin of Unnati. Where did the idea spring up?
Yeah.
What are the key milestones? And what is the nature of government or corporate partnerships that has helped you along the way? You could take about 5 to 7 minutes, and then we'll come back and deep dive into it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Sridhar, and thank you, Ramesh, and Vijay also. So, I can't talk of huge vision and all that, because when we started in 2003, Unnati, it was a very small effort. We said if we can give jobs to 50, 60 people in a year, it's a very big thing. Why? Because we came from a background where my dad probably moved out of a village when he was 16, 17, went to Bombay, sent money home. Three, four brother, sister got educated, they started earning. So the entire status of a family can change in a period of 5 years. If there is one person earning member in a family, the status can change. And that is what led to it, saying that a generation goes above poverty line forever in 35 days. Our training program is 35 days, start to end, with a guaranteed placement on the 35th day, which fetches them 15,000 to 20,000 rupees salary, irrespective of their education. So somebody need not have seen the shelter of a school to somebody who is a graduate. 35 days, they will have a job in their hand. So that's the kind of impact we start. So we do English, life skills, values, computers, and a vocation in the center model. 2003 we started, 2008 we had just done around 325 years, 320 youth, that's it. 60 people, we were writing a check, managing it. But during this time we realized how powerful this program is, right? So then we built up this building which you have seen, and then we grew from 60 to 600 to 1000. By 2011 our life mission had become Unnati. So we said this is our life mission. We started documenting, and we formed a SGBS UNNATI Foundation, a Section 8 company, in 2011. We took it there were some NGOs who came, can you run it for us? Can you do this? We shared it, then we ran it for them. And slowly 2-3 centers had opened. By 2014, Axis Bank came, foundation. They said, do you want to scale? We said, we are waiting for that only. And then next 4 years was a journey when we opened up 30 odd centers. Today, Unnati has 50 centers across the country. We built our own hostels, girls hostel, boys hostel. All this was happening during this period of 2014 to 18. 2018, I think, was another landmark change which happened when we met a nodal placement officer of Karnataka. And he was very honest enough to tell us that, sir, hardly 10% get jobs from the government colleges. And this was shocking for an organization which said that we guarantee a job on the 35th day, to suddenly realize that 10% only in the government colleges get jobs. To put in perspective, in Karnataka alone, 150,000 youth come out of ITI, BA, BCom, MCom, all that. And if only 10% are getting jobs, you can imagine the catastrophic significance of those who are not having jobs. It's a very big problem, right? So 2018, we said, can we do something? And we brought up an abridged model, and we named it You Next. You as the youth next, or Unnati as program next, whatever you next. And we took it to a small place in Sira near Tumkur. We did a pilot program of 200 youth. We took 5 companies at the end of 30 odd days. 157 out of 200 got jobs, immediate. So we knew that this works. Then we went to the government, we started talking to them. It took some time, it took a lot of time to convince them, and then an MOU. But we started scaling in a small way. 2008, 18 to 19, we did around 6,000, then 8,000. We had an MOU by that time. Unfortunately, the COVID came, it came down, and then 22-23 was a defining year because we said we must do something big, otherwise there's no use. We cannot be struggling. So we attempted, we said, let's put a target of 25,000, Unnati and UNEXT put together. We achieved 28,000, 23,000 in UNEXT, 5,000 in Unnati center model. The center model cannot scale too much because it's a very intense program and youth have to come. One of the biggest challenges, youth don't want to have that kind of discipline of 9 hours kind of thing. So there's a limitation to what, and the cost is very high. Cost of Unnati center model is almost 12,000 rupees. UNEXT, we started at 2,000 rupees. 22-23, we did 23,000. 23-24, we took a target of nearly 1 lakh combination. We did 93,000 in UNEXT and 7,000 in Unnati. 24-25, we ended up with 125, 1,25,000. 113, 114,000 in UNEXT and around 10,000 odd in Unnati. This year, we are attempting 2 lakh youth across the country. This journey in the last 1.5, 2 years, where we have closely worked with governments, right? 22-23, we just had one MOU of Karnataka and here and there. 23-24, we expanded it to almost 10 states, and 24-25, we have added another 4-5 states. So we are almost in 14 odd states today. To put in perspective, it may seem very big. We have to pat ourselves somewhere and say, okay, it is big. But in the larger context of the country, it is pathetically small. Right? You have 15 million youth coming out of colleges, and what is 2 lakh of it? Less than 2%. So that large is the program. So there is so much of scope, so many youth to be trained and so many youth to be helped, especially in the rural areas. What is special about Unnati? The impact what we create in UNEXT. It's amazingly true. We have been able to move the needle to 70% under 2 heads of account. Gainfully employed, over 35%, and higher education, another 30 to 35%. So 70% is moving into that space, which is a very, very big thing with a 30 days of intervention at a cost of just 1,500 rupees per youth. It is a cost which nobody can imagine, but that's the kind of impact we create. What do we give them for that? I don't believe in online, unfortunately, because and it doesn't work.
Right.
It cannot work in the rural areas. It's just they don't get the motivation. They will not be there. Network is a problem. You cannot see them. So there are a lot of issues, which is So it is not. They are not self-inspired. First thing, right, to achieve. The fear that what will happen to me, it's so overwhelming. They are in a tunnel. They cannot see the next 4 steps. Okay, that's a mindset. So we have to understand it doesn't work online. So offline, we teach them 90 hours, another 90 hours of LMS, where we monitor during that 30 days, 45 hours at least. We have a psychometric analysis of a 6-page report, SWOT analysis, which is given to them. And the biggest game changer in the years to come, looking forward, is Udyogam, our own portal, where the youth details, resume, and a video resume of the youth is available. It is work in progress, where we are able to bring in more and more companies to look at it. A small remote area, the MSMEs go and put the pin code, it pops up. You filter it, ITI, BA, BCom, look at the video resume, hire a fresher. Why is it special? It is for freshers. Why is it special? It is an authenticated data available. They are trained youth, which means that they are quite serious because they have to do a 3-hour program with us, which is beyond college hours. So they are serious about it. So it's a very, very big thing, which we hope that in the years to come, it will become more and more popular and help a lot more of youth. Our own percentage of placement could have been much higher. Unfortunately, because we are not local centric today, I have over lack of youth requirement, but largely centric to the cities. Questcom, Randstad, Teamly, so many big people, not in the rural areas. 45% in colleges are women. Their job, the numbers who take up jobs is less than 20%. Boys are 42%. So my average comes down drastically to 35%. So that's something which we have to work, we have to make a change. It's a journey.
Fabulous journey. Thank you so much for sharing it in such detail. And I think it's both a source of accomplishment, inspiration, as well as it gives us enough ways to think on the next 5-10 years of this journey. Thank you so much for sharing this. I would now like to request Dr. Vijay to come and share the journey of VigyanShaala. Vijay, if you can come and share the origin, the mission of your venture, what are the key milestones and the current scale, and what has been the nature of partnerships that have enabled you to grow to this extent?
Thank you, Sridhar sir. So, VigyanShaala, so basically me and my wife and a lot of our friends are all scientists. We are all PhDs. And we were mostly working in the UK, in the US, a few of us in India. When we started out doing a lot of these science outreach experiments, especially in the UK and the US, and we used to have these students from third grade, fourth grade, seventh grade, as well as college students, bachelors, who used to come to industries as well as into these Cambridge and Oxford laboratories and actually see the state of the art instrumentation, state of the art work that's happening. And that used to be very fascinating. And we, as PhDs and then later scientists in industries, we used to actually facilitate a lot of that. There used to be a industry day, a science day in all these towns and cities across Germany and different places. And that's when we realized that very little of that happens in India. Except for Arvind Kumar sir, Arvind Gupta sir, who won the Padma Award, who was very well known for science outreach. But besides him, there are very few people who actually are taking the latest science and technology to the world outside and actually showing what the latest is, and the breaking the barrier between the masses and the high tech that happens across all dimensions. And that's when a few of us, whenever in our vacations, we used to come back to India, and we used to do all these science outreach experiments in schools and colleges, sometimes in village panchayats, and because we came from different places, we did that, and from Baldogoda to Tamil Nadu to Uttarakhand and Maharashtra and wherever we were all part from. Uh, we did that for a few years, and that's when Darshana and me in 2019 thought we should attempt to do this full time as a whole organization. Of course, we were supported by our mentors who are professors, who was even Professor Asutosh Sharma, who was Secretary of DST. He also supported and championed us to go after this. We founded VigyanShaala, and in the first 1 or 2 years, it took a lot of time to understand the ground, the challenges, like what Ramesh has said. You find a lot of fear in the ecosystem. You find a lot of giving up on the ecosystem, especially in the rural areas. With more than 60% colleges in the rural areas, the resources, the state of the labs, the state of the classrooms are very bad. Adult tinkering labs have reached a lot of these places, but so when good quality instrumentation has reached these schools, there is not enough human capacity to work with that. For example, the adult tinkering labs that the Niti Aayog has put, some of the labs, I'm not even exaggerating, had equipment better than the ones that I used to use in Cambridge. They're fantastic equipment, but no one knew how it used to be behind closed doors. A teacher used to say, "खराब हो जाएगा, टूट जाएगा तो क्या करेंगे?" So who will repair it? Those that kind of stuff. So in fact, we did a whole research with the help of the government of Uttarakhand on what the challenges are in the school systems. We surveyed around 150, 200 schools, 25 colleges. Some scientists, we became social scientists for once to see exactly what is happening. And then we actually started a program in the pandemic. That's when pandemic hit, and it was very evident that women were not making it into the ecosystem of the workforce in STEM. We started something called She for STEM or Program Kalpana. So the program Kalpana, one of the thing is what we started the intervention was we wanted to do it to be scalable by inherently, as at the same time with deep intervention. So we started building labs in colleges when the training started happening online. I know Ramesh sir doesn't like it online, but there are some things that can happen online, but as much as possible, we do put it offline too. One of the key achieve as an edtech, and I get why people like Ramesh or even me for that matter say a lot of edtech is problematic. When one of the biggest problems in edtech is the customer acquisition cost, the CAC is high. The reason for that is because the user retention is low. When the user retention is so low with the and we found the same thing. Our user retention numbers were as low as what Byju's or Coursera's were. And it's very difficult to go beyond that user retention numbers. So one of the way we cracked that was going with government partnerships. So
Right.
what we did is close to around 80 to as of now we work with Uttarakhand and Telangana, two governments. So around 80 to 100 colleges, it's part of a curriculum. So the whole classes sit together at one place. So now that becomes like a habit. Like you have a, say, a plasma physics period, or you have a chemistry period, or you have a mech period. Same thing, you'll have a Kalpana period. So the students will come and have a Kalpana period, and when they will come and take the training. So there, then the retention goes and the attendance goes to 75, 80, 90%. So, and that time it is even more easier to track, because when students don't come, it's either the whole class comes or the whole class isn't come. So then you can directly call the class teachers and you can figure things that out. So in that way, EdTech is helping us scale. So one teacher is able to teach around say 2,000, 3,000 students. So it really helps. And yeah, so that is one of the biggest things that we have reached. We are still working on that model. And of course,
Brilliant.
once the students who do really well, we then pair them to mentors. So VigyanShaala had started out originally as a mentorship model over the years. So these students get mentors from across the world. One students who graduate from part one go to part two. They so fantastic work can be done by mentorship online. So for example, we had 5 or 6 students who graduated from NMAS. They got a mentor from Italy, an Indian person studying in Italy, of course, and she helped them develop a window that can change color by applying voltage. It's called an electrochromic window. That's there in the latest Boeing 747s. And that
Right.
can be done very simply at home. A basic experiment can be done. And one of the students who did that ended up getting up one of the biggest scholarships in Canada called MITAX Fellowship and got a PhD. And there are multiple stories like that. So many of our students got Marie Curie's and Obama fellowships and all of that, and all empowered by the mentors in their field. So
Wonderful.
okay.
Brilliant. So just kind of going back to Vijay, what you said a little earlier is just walk us through the baby steps, right? Because today in the audience, we have many ventures who would want to work with the government, who want to partner with the government, but are not sure where to start with, right? So what were those original, the initial days of VigyanShaala where you thought we could work with the government and scale up? What were those baby steps? What worked? What didn't? So if you could take us through that journey.
So with us, at least in the government aspect, we were very clear that we are aligned. So our impact is aligned in accordance with the government KPIs, the Department of Science and Technology and Higher Education. So they and we had the same problems that we were trying to solve in the ground. So once that happened, we were very clear that visibility was important, and we did work on visibility. So we attended a couple of conferences as speakers, my co-founder Darshana, and our work was highlighted by the local newspapers, which caught attention of a district magistrate, and then the DM helped us work with the commissioner in the center, and the commissioner, of course, then. Once you get into the commissioner of the state, the commissioner says, okay, I'll give you all the colleges, and then they give you connect with the higher education secretary. A couple of things do help. One is Darshana and me, especially Darshana's story is good, as well as we are from the University of Cambridge. That helps. The brand name helps. Second, what helps is if you have someone who can vet for you at the back. Because one thing that the government is, they are so stretched, they don't have time to really vet the partners if the work is you're doing is really genuine or not in depth beyond a certain level. So they go more on faith. So because we had the backing of a few of good scientists in the country, that really helped us gain credibility. They बोलते हाँ भाई ये ठीक से साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी एजुकेशन करेगा, so don't worry about that. So that was very important. Once you get into the system and you show good work, then it's goes on faster and faster. That's the way we entered Uttarakhand. And Telangana, it was again through conferences and different places. And the conferences, someone spoke to us, they loved the story, and then we went to the secretary of it. More often than not, what we feel is that once the government partnership starts, even as an organization, we must be ready with large number of people and the governance structures and the fundraising arm, especially, or in the hiring arm to get the people in when the project center. That's more critical because once the work happens, I feel we had to actually ask the government to stop for 4 months, 5 months, saying that हम build कर रहे हैं. उनको लगता था, DG sir को लगता था, यार आप इतना slow हो, आप करना चाहते हो नहीं करना? Do you really even want to do it or do you don't want to do it? It's like we are preparing ourselves. So we have to be very careful in opening doors before we can deliver also. But in our case, yes. So slowly, visibility and having someone vet, if that will automatically get you phone calls in. If that doesn't get you phone calls, you can of course ask people who are waiting for you to give you a contact. And
Very interesting.
and you will not find resistance in the system. I'm telling you honestly, we work with 3-4 departments across these 2 states. There is absolutely no resistance. People love people if you're doing good work, and very motivated people, usually at the top levels. So I'd say, of course, we have worked at the DM and above. We are not worked below that, but at the district magistrate and above level, everyone is really motivated.
They align very quickly once there is clearance at top.
Very smart also, very smart folks.
Yeah, brilliant. Mr. Ramesh, going back to Unnati's journey of the first partnership with the government skill development and employment missions, what was it talking to the government college administrators and all of them? How easy or difficult it is, and what would you suggest young organizations who would want to work with the government to keep in mind when they pursue this path?
Tons of patience.
Right.
And never get depressed, because unlike Vivek, Vijay had probably some good things to say. It's not easy. It's not easy. You do something which is very unique. You prove something which is very unique. You don't ask them money. That also is an issue.
Right.
Right? You don't ask them money, they will say, no, you quote for it. I said, no, we don't. We have CSR funding. I don't require your money. That is also a problem. Right? So, but what Vijay said is true. At the top level, they understand the program, they're supportive. So you will think that if I crack the top, then it is cakewalk. The problem starts after that.
Right.
The moment you go to a school or college, I don't know schools frankly, but I'm talking of colleges. I just added school word. The boss is not the commissioner or the additional director. The boss is the principal. हाँ ठीक है, कल आओ, ठीक है, अगले हफ्ते. We have too much of work happening. ये क्या है? हाँ ठीक है, हम लोग का, we have our own things to do. Who is going to do my work? Who is going to take care of my science? Achha, very good. Oh, you are so serious, fantastic. Go and see inside the class. There is no teacher to take that science class, right?
Right.
But we are very busy. So it is tough. It is tough. You need to be able to create a situation where the demand comes from down below. So it is like sandwiching two sides. The top says, "Oh, this is a great program, we require it," and then the bottom, who are your beneficiaries, say, "This is something I love to do." Then you suddenly find youth saying, "I want this class." They come to our class and bunk the regular class. So that makes them further angry. Right?
Right.
They are attending to your class, they don't attend this class. There's an anger to it. So
Right.
it is not easy, but sustained effort, continuous effort, where you are able to give data. The biggest thing lacking in any government is data.
Right.
You are king if you provide data, and they get afraid of data.
Right.
They get afraid of data because they understand, oh, there's something happening which I don't know. So if you tell, sir, here's the data, 35% have got jobs. You go and ask a college, you have trained so much, government college, how many got jobs? What has happened? What happened to this 400 youth last year? Nothing. Nothing. So data is, in a way, when you go to government, right? You need data. That is the only thing which can support you. Nothing else can support you. No good word, no reports can support you. Data has to be the strong part. So it is not easy in India. It is not easy.
Right.
It's a struggle. Many, sir, outside a government commissioner's office to give a to the youth, to give their college students 35% of them jobs, 35 inspire them to go for higher education, and to tell them this all I will do free of cost, not a rupee from your side, to give your infrastructure and the youth. I will use your infrastructure and the youth. Issues are there. There could be principals, there could be people who will say, आपको CSR में कितना पैसा मिलता है?
Right.
He is more bothered how much money I make or my institution makes because of their college and their students, right? He is
Right.
not bothered how much good will happen to that student of his. So there are challenges. You have to be mentally extremely strong, just because you are doing something phenomenally great. You will not get a red carpet.
So patience and persuasiveness are both required in infinite amounts.
My
And Sridhar sir, if I may
Yeah.
just add, because
Yes.
and Ramesh sir, absolutely, I get that. We were almost kicked out of one of our first colleges because they said they विज्ञानशाला के lab में जाते हैं, हमारे class में आना छोड़ ही दिए. And that's what they used to happen. See, the college timings should be until 4, but the college gets over should be 4:35. But all the students go back at 12:31. The college is empty by 1 o'clock. But our lab still goes on till 4:35.
Right.
And that has translated the first batch of the students too well. Anyways, but coming back to the government part of it, so when the principal came and said that no one's coming here, band kar denge. So it does happen. Then we have to talk to the principal. We have to be very nice. We faced a big problem with the secretary in Telangana. A lot of organizations, not only us, did face. So, but one of the big parts of government partnership we realize is talking nicely, having a proper licensing. It's very critical to have at least one person full time to do partnership for at a state level in the center. It's
Yeah,
basic, and that person is very critical, I'd say, and that person's job is means the organizational workload would not be more than 20-30%, 10 20
right,
percent The rest 60-70% is depending whatever job they give.
correct,
So now they became very friends. Sir wants to play cricket at night, they go play cricket at night.
right,
Uh, and they have to, the government officials, because from their perspective, they are actually, a lot of these top officials are doing close to 18-20 hours a day. And I've not seen anyone works so mad the way they have. It's crazy. Uh,
right,
so yeah, so it does. So when we also help them in their mission, they also feel gratified and gratitude, and they, of course, and they also help us in the other way. But being very empathetic to where they are is very critical.
right,
So the person who's at 58, 59, handling such huge departments and hundreds of crores of budgets, is doing 18-20 hours a day, 7 days a week, by the way.
right,
Uh, we must be there to support him. I mean, what else can we do? We can't come and say, "Arey yaar, hamara time usme le liya, hamara resource ye ho." It is, and that's all small things when you're talking about big. So being very empathetic to them and having a full time, and you cannot have a part time partnership. Otherwise it becomes like going once in 2 months. Sir, sign चाहिए था इसके लिए, एक order भेजना है, to different colleges. It doesn't work like that. So you have to always have someone in their office over there with them, whom the sir will see, or those people will see on a day-to-day basis, to be
correct.
embedded into the system.
Interesting. So now let's look at the second the second aspect of this, which is collaborating with the corporate sector, right? How do you make sure the corporate sector understands a social goal, a social objective, the constraints that come along with it, and how do they partner on both in terms of partnerships, for supply chain, for skilling, and the other side is for fundraising, that is for CSR, etc. Right? And how do early stage impact ventures like both VigyanShaala and Unnati, how can they look at aligning with the business interests? Vijay, you were talking about how you are aligned with the government interests very easily, but how does it happen with the business interests? Where do you build alignment there? And what will make partnerships sustainable and impactful, right? I mean, how do you kind of keep them interested, grow with them, and make it also meaningful to them over a period of time, right? So maybe, Ramesh sir, you could start with the job readiness part of it, because you have the twin challenge of not just managing the CSR expectation, but also the employment expectations, right? So Ramesh sir, if you could highlight how Unnati's journey has been in that aspect.
So as so there is a difference in the two, because
Right.
you need to look at two different corporates. One is a
Right.
CSR corporate,
Yeah.
where my youth cannot go and work with them.
Right.
Right? Let's understand that. My youth comes from a village, from underprivileged background, and my salary, what I promised him, is 15 to 20,000 rupees. That doesn't belong to a CSR company. He doesn't hire my people, right?
Correct.
So CSR cannot hire my people. The corporates who hire my people are not into CSR many times,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
They are labor intensive, so they are not. So these are two different things, right? CSR has helped Unnati scale in the last few years, and especially after COVID, because many people realized that COVID, hell a lot of money went pumped into various activities without any great impact of it. Nothing
Right.
wrong. This situation was there. You have distributed food, you have distributed equipment, you have distributed masks. So all that is gone. You are not done
Yeah.
anything. So suddenly a realization came, saying that, what about sustainability? Let's help them. So skilling became an important aspect of it. So companies started looking at skilling and all that. Second thing, of course, we must thank our Prime Minister, one of the few people in this in our 75 odd years. Somebody who said youth, skilling, nobody cares for them, right? And employability, all that became a very important mantra. So that also again helped the whole journey of CSR partnership and all that. The corporate side CSR requirements are very simple. If you're good, if you're clean, if you're able to show impact, they will continue with you. They will come and do the work with you, right? And then on the corporate side, they are business.
Right.
You need to look at Unnati. When they look at you or you look at them, it is business. There is no social kind of thing. I cannot ask an HR, sir, he's very poor, sir. Please hire him, sir. Give him a job, sir. I cannot do it, right?
Right.
I may do once. Second time, he will not look at me, he will not pick up my phone. So, so I need
Right.
to create value. That is business there. I need to look at the corporate as a business point. Do I add value to your requirement, right?
Correct.
When I do that, that is when he comes to us. That is when he says, sir, I want your people. When are you? So my placements happen in 48 hours. And if a company doesn't come on that day, he doesn't get my students. Over, gone.
Right.
So
Right.
so I create something which is of value to them. I show the impact of the job to the CSR. So
Right.
both are on different planes. So you must understand your customer. Who is your primary? When it comes to donation, is the CSR. So you need
Right.
to tailor make that the impact with them. And here it is a company. So both are slightly different target audiences.
Thank you. Vijay, what has been the journey of aligning VigyanShaala with STEM-focused CSR initiatives, as well as also, building a pipeline of mentors? I'm sure they also come from the corporate sectors. They may be the same set or disjointed sets. So how has all this journey been for you?
So, so what people say is in the next 60, 70 years, 80% plus jobs are going to be STEM, STEM-based skills. Why I'm saying that for this question is because that is something that is gone into the students. So students are very STEM savvy, and as well as in the corporates. So the students that we are trying, a lot of them have aspirationals requirements. So ours has a direct match between the corporates as well as the students, right? So at one end, we have the students who realize STEM is important, who are developing, but they need support for that. And we provide curriculum as well as mentoring. But where are the mentors going to come? The mentors need to come from the industry. So we go to the industry from different places, get these same mentors from the industry, take them to the students and talk to them about their careers, what all of that, but also, and they do a capstone project that is industrially relevant. So the companies, the HRs as well as the volunteering organizations over there, and we have these senior leadership and leadership programs that happen in every company. So all of those folks really want to talk to us because we're giving them students from rural areas and motivated students who know the importance of STEM skills. So once these students graduate, then we take their CVs and go and take them to the HR. And
Right.
now we have not yet started doing this, but now we just started taking it to the HR for the past maybe a year or so, 6 months or 8 months, and there has been success. And now using this success, we want to go to the CSR and see, okay, this is the good work we are doing. So we have not completed the cycle. We are sure it's going to be there, but we do have some CSR folks who are saying, okay, send us CVs, and they are hired as interns at least initially because they are all third, fourth year students.
Very interesting.
But this is possible. So that's what we call. So we put an ecosystem around it.
Right.
So where I'm not sure if Unnati has job fairs, sir. A lot of companies at your scale do job fairs at high end. So
So the job fairs are organized by the government and all that. We have a list of companies who are each center based. So they come to our center and hire and go. That's why I said
Typical,
48 hours.
typical placement block. Yeah, typical placement block. Yeah. Interesting. So now let's look at the third enabling element, right? We have looked at the government, we have looked at the corporates and CSR and everything else. Now let's look at the ecosystems that are emerging and helping us scale social impact. So what are the platforms that have helped, both Unnati and VigyanShaala to refine your value proposition? How do you access strategic mentorship or markets that you think you should enter into? And then how do you look at pitching to the institutional partners? For example, for Unnati, you have been a pioneer in the social stock exchange. What has that journey been like for you? When do you think you could do it? What roadblocks do you foresee? And how has that journey been for you?
How much time?
We have another 28 minutes, but
No,
what
no,
I
no.
think
How much time for me for this?
can you do it in 5 minutes?
Very difficult
Right.
because you would not even touch anything. But let me just highlight a few here and there.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
So social stock exchange is a very, very big thing. Today it's unheard of, like CSR in 2013.
Right.
Nobody knows. In 2013, nobody bothered about it. It took time. The CFO and other people started shivering and signing with a shiver. The annual
Right.
report only probably in 22, 23 or something like that. Till that time, it was easy, right? So today, nobody signs easily. He say everything correct, everything okay, So that takes time. So SSC is like that today. Why SSC? Why did Unnati think of SSC? One is Unnati is very special in one thing is the our governance structure, the compliance, the documentation, transparency, the impact were extremely well defined and clearly measurable. So that was one of the strengths of Unnati all throughout from day one. Uh, we face this challenge of all the top the directors, the next level, many of them, we are all pro bono. We all do this out of passion, and we do it because we want to be helping this country, right? So, and we used to go and sit in front of somebody, whether it is CSR, whether it is government, whether anybody, and they will look at you and never believed you. You are a NGO or everything gapla, all sorts of nonsense. It is like telling you have not done any harm at all, and
Right.
somebody is accusing of having done some wrong. It burns. You start boiling, and then you. So when SSC announced that something like this, we said, let's get ourselves registered. Maybe it's a stamp of authority. This
Correct.
was the thing. So we are registered. It was very easy. It happened automatically. It was nothing great. We did it ourselves. Next came somebody said during one of the conferences, somebody said, first few we will give money. We said, "Arey,
Right.
somebody from outside is ready to give money. Why not apply? So let's list it." So we started listing. Then we realized, my God, listing is not ordinary. It is phenomenal work. It is phenomenal, right? The listing lawyer is required, is a firm which is required, but every detail you have to provide. So he will ask you. I have not heard, I have heard in my younger days and all meetings happening at 2:30 night. I was told the Reliance meeting will happen at 2:30. Ambani will call at 2:30 their executives at night and all. We used to think, what is this? So I used to do that during that time. The lawyers are so busy during the day and all. They will call me at 2:30 and say, at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, can we have a meeting? We have a few coins to clarify. We are having a meeting at 2:30. I said, okay, fine. So it is a tough thing, but it is a phenomenal thing. It keeps your entire system in place. One example, there cannot be many NGOs in this country, many companies in this country who can say on the 1st of April, my balance sheet and books of accounts are closed and balance sheet is ready. Unnati did it. Unnati has filed these returns, the annual report already, it's in public domain, right? that housekeeping, bookkeeping of your own things have improved. Right?
So systems become far more important for you to get that advantage.
Absolutely. So
Right.
it is not just about, there is a cost involved, obviously, for all that.
Obviously, yeah.
But what it is doing is a small NGO like Unnati suddenly came to fame across the country. I would have had to spend, I don't know how many crores to even to get to that level. I didn't spend any money and I was in that level today, right? So
Right.
those are some of the great things which happened to us through SSC. And I think going forward, why is it important for anybody in the social sector to be part of that? One, you will clearly define your goals, your impact, your documentation, compliance, everything properly, right? Second, there could be times in the future when they will say, if you are not in SSC, I will not give you CSR money. If you are not in
Right.
SSC, you cannot enter the government program.
Right.
There could be lot of changes which will happen. Be prepared, start working on it. You may not have to register today, tomorrow, maybe after 2 years, but for an organization, it may take 1 or 2 years to even reach that level. Third, IT. You cannot do things without IT intervention and heavily into investing into IT solutions, etc. Very important.
Glad that you brought that out, because one of the things that we do at Impact Orbit is fundamentally look at a tech enablement at the core of how we look at ventures and their scale. Because change, of course, is very individual. It can't be standardized. But at the same time, at some level, the more and more we can standardize, the more and more we can put process and technology to kind of become the backbone of the change, then we know that scaling becomes easier. I think I'm glad that
any startup, Ramesh should, if IT startups into financials, into tally today. You ask, suppose you ask 100 NGOs, what is the platform you work on? 95 may tell you Tally.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Tally, of course, is a great software.
Correct.
But if you have to get into a scale, bigger things and faster and much more, accurate and detailed, deep dive into it, you require a much better software. Yeah.
Right.
That is a space, even if you have 10 people today, you require that. So many NGOs cannot manage it. It's not easy. So those are some of the things in the financials where a lot of IT requirements are very heavy.
Wonderful. Great. So Vijay, what's it been for you, right? I mean, what was the journey before NSRCEL? What was the journey at NSRCEL? And what has it been post that? Can you just take us through that?
So in terms of you spoke about which platforms really helped improve your value prop and improve the pitches as well as the journey after NSRCEL. It's pretty much a lot of it, I'd say, is mentoring, honestly, because
so just rewind it as well. I mean, why did you think about NSRCEL, or how did NSRCEL come in your own journey, and then what happened through the process, right? Because I think today many of our listeners might be considering applying, and then what kind of how does that journey change for you?
So one of the biggest characteristics I'd hope for anyone who's listening today, wanting to come into Impact Orbit or any other incubator or starting a company for that matter, is coachability and mentorability is very critical. We have seen a lot of we have seen ourselves, Darshan and me, were not coachable for a year and a half because we were PhDs from Cambridge, thought we were very smart, and then realized that we don't know anything about the sector. And honestly, we lost a year and a half too. Coachability is very critical. We used to write our PPTs when you spoke about value proposition. Our PPTs on every slide on average used to have around 35, 40 words or 50 words minimum, actually, not on average. And our value prop, even the mentors in NSRCEL wouldn't get it. What we are exactly saying. We used to go around a lot. When we entered that time, NSRCEL, the program used to be a bit longer. So I think it was a year-long program. But once we came in and we came out, we look very different in terms of who we were, and the 2 to 3 mentors whom we worked with in different dimensions really changed in terms of communication, in terms of how you look at the sector, how you pitch to. There was actually an inflectional point once we joined NSRCEL. It really went up. And that clarity mentors like Archana ma'am or Malvika ma'am, they really did give us. They said, okay, you need visibility, you start applying for awards. That's something that no one else going to teach you anywhere. That we are doing science and technology, and then they said, okay, one could sheet, a mentor says one co-founder that you sit on the ground, the other one will just sit and write awards and funding. That's it. And the 1 or 2 awards really picked it up, and then we didn't have to write much, but that kind of insights and that kind of where you're lacking, what people are talking about the sector, where it is going, where you can fit in for the product market fit, how can you put your value prop in such a way that it will fit it, is very critical. And that is one of the reasons why I think NSRCEL was so important to us, because of the mentors. And we changed considerably, very significantly. And even after, I think it's been a few years we have graduated, we still keep going back to our mentors. And they've had a huge, actually last year, in the last 8 months, we have been significantly working with the government, creating significant ecosystems over there. It's one of a type model that we are building, and it couldn't have been done without the same mentor again. So people who are ahead of you. I absolutely recommend that you have to be, for the people who are coming into impact opportunity, be coachable, and it'll be very nice. But you don't have to lose your mission. One of the people we generally see is they think that they lose their vision or their goal by being flexible. No, you can keep that for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, how you do it is probably something that can significantly benefit from others' perspective. Very interesting. I'd just like to shift gears and do a rapid question before we open it up for audience questions. We have an amazing lineup of audiences, some very familiar friends of ours who have been with us for a long period of time have also joined us today. So the rapid fire questions are 3 questions, and I'll ask 1 question each. So first question is, one government body every social entrepreneur should engage with. Vijay, starting from you.
One government organization?
Yeah.
Niti Aayog.
Okay, interesting. Ramesh sir?
One government I would recommend, I work with governments, but I have seen that it is commissioner based, but I would say Madhya Pradesh government is very, very proactive. They're looking at
very interesting. Because usually when you look at progressive governments or responsive governments, people usually start with Karnataka, Telangana, or anywhere else. But good to see Madhya Pradesh emerge out in your case. Very interesting. One corporate practice to adopt early. Ramesh sir, if you could share your perspective.
Sorry,
one corporate practice. Because NGOs always, or impact organizations may not think that we are corporate-like in our mindset. But any corporate practice that you think impact organizations should pick up from early on?
So don't think like an NGO.
Right.
Don't think that you are doing some society. Yourself as an impact organization which is doing something to create a difference in the country. So how you will think as a corporate brings out a product saying that so many millions are there to buy it, it has to be like this, and you bring it out, right? In your case, you are looking at solving 1 million people's problems.
Right.
So you cannot take a moral stand saying that I am doing this, I am trying to give it, that kind of a thing will pull you down and you will not be very professional.
Very interesting. Thank you. Vijay, one corporate practice?
I'd say all. Same thing. Run it like a corporate, run it like a startup, run it like Google. There's nothing better than that. Always a startup, always like.
Very interesting. And one mistake to avoid while building partnerships?
partnerships which are not very aligned, which are not aligned but will give you a big name. 1 or 2 is fine, but beyond that, don't go behind. One partnership for name is fine. Otherwise, it's just a dead partnership. It's good for a logo to get funds or something, but beyond that, only find aligned partners.
Very interesting. So look at goal alignment, culture alignment. All of these become very important.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Culture
Ramesh
alignment.
sir, one partnership mistake to avoid.
You have to be risk management has to be part of your goal, because any
Not
partner,
lose yourself.
aligned partner also can drop you like a hot brick one day. So their profits, their things matter. So risk management is something you keep talking every day.
Very interesting. Great. So I think we have some audience questions which have been lined up. We will go in for that. Ramesh, in case you have some specific questions to look at, do help us, but I will try and go from the start.
Sure. Requesting everyone attending to put their questions in the Q&A session so that we can take up in a faster pace. So one question that I can see in the Q&A is from Shubham. He's part of a for-profit and a non-profit. They are working in the sectors of STEM, food value addition, and rural tourism. So he wants to know what funding or support opportunities through CSR government scheme or incubator are best suited for hybrid models where he is working right now in the sectors of education, agri and allied, and rural tourism.
Okay. So Shubham, when you say you have a for-profit and a not-for-profit, I presume that you have a trust or you have a Section 8 company in the not-for-profit space. So you can add that detail, but we will kind of go ahead and try and answer in the meantime. Ramesh sir, would you want to kind of take a stab on this?
Yeah, so somebody like him should look at how you can work with NABARD kind of organizations, work with organizations who require anything to do with agri farming, how to and use technology where you can reach out, and there are huge opportunities in those areas. And it could be a huge possibility. You'll come out if you go and see what they do in terms of infrastructure, in terms of capacity building, in terms of sales. Every aspect of it is looked up by people like NABARD and all, and they are very professional.
Yeah, Vijay, any suggestions from you? How do you map the CSR space? How do you map the government funding space? Any starting point?
Initially, I wouldn't recommend government funding spaces. Something like NABARD would, of course, surely work. If you directly collaborate with them, it would be great. CSRs, I see a huge movement towards agri and education. So I think that would be that there is a lot of potential in CSR for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of funders. And I think
CSR is possible if the impact and clearly if it is defined, and and they must get a feeling that this CSR money is actually being used for the benefit of the beneficiary.
Right.
That's very important. If there's a gray line or a line between the for-profit and not-for-profit kind of a thing, they will stay away from you.
I think they have a Section 8 non-profit.
Okay,
registered as a Section 8.
Perfect, brilliant. So one of the things that you should also look at is, the emergent themes. For example, dairy is something that's very well organized. So the NDDB is a good place for you to look at. You could look at the millets mission because there is great emphasis on millets in the agri space. So there could be millet thing. There's also a lot of movement in the FPO space where the farmer producer organizations are being encouraged by the government. The cooperative movement is also becoming big. So all these spaces is where I think you need to spend time, go with the boards, go with the committees, and evolve a meaningful roadmap for you. Next question, Ramesh.
One more just addition. If
Yes.
you're able to involve the women entrepreneurs in the villages, in the panchayats,
Right.
you have phenomenal opportunities.
Absolutely right. And I think right, as you rightly said, solving for women employment, women engagement is a little more detailed thing, but it's not impossible. You can actually make it your competitive advantage.
Because if you're able to engage them, NRLM, National Rural Livelihood Mission, for example, if you are making a food product, something is being told. If you're able to give that food product to a section of people, women working on it, purchase it, then you make it could make a huge, because those women don't know scale, those women don't know how to standardize. You train them, and then you have Fab India is a great example of what started off as a movement and what they have achieved.
Right, very true. Ramesh sir, I did see a question that came in between, which was about Madhya Pradesh being the reference that you gave of a good government to work with. So the question was, why Madhya Pradesh government? And I think somebody want, the question was that.
I don't want to get into the politics of it. I found that the IAS officers and all that are able to move things fast, and down the line it works. Right? It has to work down the line. As I told you, many places the top people are very aligned to good things. The moment it goes down below that and then trickles down into the smaller district levels, etc., they are not able to push it through. So some of them who really do well.
Very true. I think the alignment is very important. I do remember talking to the Secretary of Industries in Telangana, and over the last decade or so, they have decade and a half, they have focused on investment climate very much. And they told that they cleared 19,000 proposals, before time that they had committed. And it involved them setting up a war room and making sure that whatever had to be done inside government, they micromanaged and got it done. So I think the alignment of bureaucracy within is very important. And I think that's a value to look out for. If you're not listening the same thing between the state, the bureaucrat, the senior bureaucrat and the lower bureaucrat, then it's a word of caution for all you enterprises to look at. Right. Ramesh, next question.
We have few questions related to how to approach government or CSR for fun. What is the best approach for it?
So Ramesh sir, if you could just kind of start by explaining your own journey of the initial days of CSR. When did you think that you should flip from bootstrapping yourself, because Unnati was built with a bootstrapping culture, right? And then you had saved up money for a cause, and then that became the start of Unnati. But then when did it become that you could take it from Axis Bank or somebody else? What was that journey?
I think it started off from 2013 when CSR was announced.
The law came up.
That is when we realized. Before that, what used to happen, Sridhar, we are all ordinary people and we are not people who play golf. Okay. Checks used to
so you wouldn't even know what the board is thinking before that.
So checks used to get issued in the golf club, not in the. So we were not there. So, 2013 announcement was very important. We realized, something like this can happen, and there is a company which has to pay this money. Why not approach them? Then you start slowly and talking to them, and then you prove what you have done. You show them what you are doing. Then it happens. The good part of it is when you show clear impact and all that, people align with you and they stick to you. The biggest achievement in Unnati is that people are stuck with us for 10 years, 12 years, 50. That's a great thing for us. That's not ordinary. I feel that is the biggest asset. And that is what has kept us going. And then it adds, it's very easy. Yeah, somebody here will tell his friend will be in CSR, he will say, why don't, if you're skilling, you look at them. So he will refer to you. So many times you're not marketing. Your own CSR firm is marketing you through something else. So it is, but it is not a cakewalk. It's like any insurance person. If he has to sell you insurance, he has to be after you for 20 years, then you may take one.
Correct.
So it is a continuous effort, and you hit 100 companies, 2 may give you money.
Correct.
These are all challenges, part of it. You have to be ready for that, and they will question you. The questions will be very, very nasty. Yeah. So
Dr. Vijay, what's been like your journey with the CSR world? I mean, how comfortable, uncomfortable was that journey? How did you navigate that? What has been your process through the CSR journey?
Honestly, we were very spoiled because our first funding was NSRCEL and then Nudge, and we thought money is going to fund, and then both of you introduced us to some good CSRs. We got money, and we thought raising money is so simple. And then 1 year after that,
COVID came by.
No, this is after COVID, but then 1 year after that, the incubation was done, the honeymoon period was done, and we had to be there on our own. And then we are getting to find what Ramesh was saying. It's a hustle. It's a hustle.
Yeah.
You have to talk to people. There is a lot of crying involved. You'll be talking to someone for months and months, and they'll like you, and then they'll say, "Okay, sorry, not happening." It happened even last month for us. Everything changes, right? And it's not even with the CSR board, by the way, the CSR team. The CSR team loves you, they will like the work, but the board will go a different way, and then even the team itself will be frustrated that they wanted to give you. All kind of things happen. New companies will ask you nasty questions. They'll say, Karnataka mein kyun nahi do it in Karnataka? We'll be like, problem is in Uttarakhand and UP, like, no, but we want Uttarakhand. Okay. Then they'll say, our factories are here. Can you do it across near our factories? Then we say we can't have a new government partnership with the secretary for your one factory. We do say that, and of course, we don't get money after that. But it is not easy because the other half of the table here, we are the consumers and they are the customers. We are pitching, right? We are the pitchers and they are the customers, and there's a lot of also a lot of training that needs to go at the CSR board and the CSR team side. They also are and that's a thing that's going on in the sector for a few months now, where people have been talking about that, and the CSR has to start looking at funding beyond the Karnatakas and the Maharashtras and all that. So, yeah. But
do you also get the other side of the problem, which is like they come back, you apply in March, April, and they come to you in November or December and say, 3 mahine mein itna paisa spend kar do.
Oh no, that is yeah, we get that. But it's
tough, but you have to say no.
Sometimes we say yes, it's until November or December because we have this cash flow which we can manage. We need, so to others listening, if you have some amount of financial understanding, it will help you to understand the cash flow and manage it. But people come in February and say khatam karo 20, 50 lakh. We're not that big, so in February, March we don't take. And yeah, and you'll have CSR, lot of problems. So how do you approach is our one way, I'd say, is what we are also learning is approaching through contacts helps, because if Ramesh said, a few people have asked, if you know somebody through CSR, somebody in a company, somebody who's higher up in a company, ask them to introduce you to the CSR rather than a cold email. Always approaching through contacts helps. If that person likes you, ask that CSR to refer to another CSR. And that's the only way. People who introduce you to 3-4 CSRs, and those 4 CSRs will approach, give you another 3-4 CSRs, and that becomes 8 or 10 CSRs. And with these 10-12 CSRs, you'll face these nasty questions, and then you'll have 2 customers. But it's going to be a lot of this churn.
Churn that happens in there.
And until you win the good ones, or until where the fit is there between you and the CSR. But yeah, cold emails don't work, and
Right.
cold outreach rarely. Not they do work, not as efficiently.
Correct. Yeah. Great. Ramesh, we can take one more question and then probably
Sure.
we can do the housekeeping after that.
Yeah, there are few questions about for early startups. How do you get seed funding? Or another question was like, is it good to apply for government startup seed India fund?
Okay. Any thoughts on that? Maybe Vijay, you could start to look at early stage, what kind of opportunities exist, Seed
We
India
face the same
Fund and
struggle.
other.
We face the same problem. The early funds. So CSR people, initially डरा दिया था कि within 3 years they will they're not legally give you. Legally they are allowed to give money. It's just
Correct.
that they don't practice. So, but if they like you through, so contacts, early stage contacts again, number one, that really helps. Number two is any kind of incubators, because NSRCEL and I Nudge and there's a lot of things like Unlimited India is very good, Acumen is fantastic. These things play a big role in giving you visibility and that initial seed fund. And most of these funds are unrestricted. And anything like startup funds and all, those are all amazing. There are these Niti Aayog startup funds, government startup funds. Yeah, please do. I don't know, Ramesh sir, what you'd say, but yeah.
Yeah. Ramesh sir?
I don't know. I have not gone to a fundraising that way. I don't go and so really I don't know. But yeah, I think. But I have heard of these seed funds and a certain amount of angel funds and all that. Those kind of people who love you because of the idea. That's so you have to talk. You have to be able to pitch. So one of the things you need to be thinking of your project, and I think that is one of the strength of NSRCL. You are making them think differently. You're making them pitch differently, and you're questioning them continuously as to why this, why are you doing this, and that is when your concepts get cleared, and what you thought initially and what you actually come out after a year, though the mission is not changed, the way you want to do it would have changed. So I think that refinement in your own thought process and how you will approach the problem and how you will take the help of the ecosystem and then do it. I think these are the things which will naturally come out of it. There is no rule or there is no formula for it. The formula has to come within from you, how you take the inputs and how you churn it out and bring it out.
Very interesting. And also the original days of Unnati, how you were able to look at frugality, and fundraising was not the start of it, right? I mean, you had some surplus money and then you said, okay, fine, let's kind of focus on impact. And then once that kind of solidified is when you said, okay, maybe if there is more money, then we can do more. So I think that iterative mindset and frugality even in the early days is very essential, and not just really trying to raise a lot of resources early in the days itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I keep hearing of startups, oh, I am going to raise $1 million. I am always shocked. I said, what is it? After 20 years, 21 years, I can't raise that kind of money. कैसे लोग बोल देते हैं valuation है वो, which I have not understood this valuation game very well, boss.
Very interesting. Great. All right. Ramesh, do we have time for one more question?
Yes, I mean, there have been few questions related to pitching also. I mean, like according to the change in stage of a venture, how should the pitching change for raising funds?
All right. So I think one of the earliest thing that you should look at is what moves you, right? I mean, what is your reason to exist? It has to be the centrality of the first level of pitches. And I think you should go into early prototypes and kind of iterate and bring in some amount of data to show what's your theory of change and how you are able to showcase and demonstrate progress. So early metrics is one level of things. So iterate and get some early metrics. And once you have some early metrics is where you can go back and revise your pitch and say, hey, here is our way of doing things, right? So I think in the first phase, at best, you can only say what you want to do, where you want to do, how you want to do. But then the sooner you can get into pilots, you can aggregate your numbers, metrics, and define them is when you can go back and do detailed pitch decks. I mean, that's a classical way of doing it. Vijay, Ramesh, please come in and share how does an organization evolve its pitch decks.
Yeah, so Sridhar, I approach it differently. For me, when your idea is there, you must think of scale. You must never think of an idea in a small way.
Okay.
You must say that this is an idea, this is required, and I want to touch these numbers. You will not have a way to do it. You will not know where the money will come from. You will have no idea about it, but the scale, the goal is defined. When you define the goal properly, you will start working towards the goal. Every day you have that goal in mind and not the next 4 steps in mind. The next 4 steps has to happen, but the goal has to drive your impact, drive the movement. Then what happens is you will be able to tell a story which says, I thought of this yesterday, I did it today. I want to do it this tomorrow. Help me out for that tomorrow. So your narrative, your story as a chain, I think it's very, very important.
Very interesting perspective. Vijay, how do you look at this as your organization evolved? What has been kind of the pitch deck evolution that has happened for yourself?
I think it's very important to be genuine about the mission that you want and the cause that you want to solve, the problem that you want to solve. If you're very genuine about it and very clear about it, and it shows through the way you talk and the pitch, the person on the opposite side is not doubtful at all on the conviction that you have. Most often than not, the investors themselves are looking for hope. You can really see that the investors themselves are not very confident people who will say, okay, we are solving the world. They're looking for people who can solve the problems of the world. So once you give them that hope, you can actually see them change during the pitch. So if you are genuine, I think it will help.
Wonderful. One quick question, Ramesh sir, that I saw in the Q&A section is, what accounting software do you use which is helping you better than Tally?
We use Atlas to Symmetry, and it drives down to such an extent, just to give them an idea. If I have a center where the stationery cost should not be more than 1,000 rupees, I can put the cap on 1,000 rupees. They cannot spend 1,001. It will end in 1,000, and then, to that extent, softwares are available. So I'm saying there's a huge requirement of this.
Correct. Yeah. Very interesting. Thank you all very much for joining us today. Thank you so much for your amazing comments and the questions. We could not take all of them, but given the paucity of time, we will try and get back to you post this session. Please do get in touch with NSRCEL with your continued questions. Be engaged and apply for the upcoming Impact Orbit and various other programs. Ramesh, over to you. Before that, thank you, Ramesh sir, for taking time out and joining us at such short notice and inspiring us with your journey. And Dr. Vijay, thank you so much for coming over and sharing the amazing work that you do for STEM education. Thank you both very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining in today. It was a insightful talk about how to navigate government ecosystem, as well as how to leverage corporate connects and collaborations. Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Ramesh sir. Thank you, Sridhar sir. Thank you everyone for joining in. I have put our application link again in the chat box. I will also put my LinkedIn also. So for people who want to know more about the our program. Thank you everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you once again.
You all.